you had that feeling of just kind of being disrespected, like frustrated, you're not really being heard, or you don't know how to express yourself? This brings me to my point, my discussion around how to deal with conflict in relationships, whether it be your personal relationship, working relationship, any kind of relationship. And there's 4 points that are going to help you navigate your way in any conflict situation. Hi, my name is Shireen, and I'm here to help you in any relationship. I have a passion for seeing people flourish and develop in any relationship. So here are the 4 points to help you with conflict. The first point is to start with the right mindset. The second point is to contain your emotions. Third point is to seek resolution. The last point I really want to cover is the dangers of not addressing these issues. You may want to stick around for the last point because that's the core of what you're experiencing in dealing with problems in your relationship. So right, let's start with the first point. You want to start with the right mindset. What does that mean? That means that you've got to go in where both of you are heard. If you're going to go in, you're going to try and finger point, you're going to try and blame, or you're going to go in with the mindset that you want to be right, you're not going to achieve the goal of building this relationship. You're going to threaten the relationship with that mindset. So your starting point is, if you're highly emotional, you're not in the right frame of mind to go and have a rational discussion with anyone. So prepare yourself, go in saying, right, that person's entitled to their perspective, and so am I. It's not about fighting to win. We have different perspectives, and no one's right and no one's wrong. You want to understand each other. Also, you don't want to occupy a position of trying to be the victim. Poor me, I'm the one who's wronged in this situation. You also don't want to go into the conversation trying to persecute, trying to be the person that goes and attacks. And you also don't want to be there to try and rescue them and enable them from continue doing damage in your relationship. So refrain from putting yourself in any one of those 3 roles. Another very important part of staying in the right mindset is don't be defensive. Just like you want to be heard, similarly, let the other party be heard too. So a very important point, and in summary, both of you want to be heard. And that's the way you can save, preserve, and enhance the relationship. Right, we're moving on to the second point, slow down and contain your emotions. So let's have a look at this. What is it when you feel emotional? You know when you're in heightened emotion, you just want to win, when you're angry, when you're frustrated. And that's where you have to be extra careful in having these kinds of discussions, because that's when the discussions go south. That's when you're not achieving anything productive. You've got to learn to say, all right, these feelings, whatever they may be, jealousy, frustration, resentment, let those simmer and understand that you're in control of your emotions. And once you're able to deal with those emotions, let them dissipate before you have the discussion. So once you've let those emotions go and you feel they're starting to arise again in the discussion, let that be a warning sign and a trigger for you to step back. You can't have a healthy discussion, and you can't fix and address any problem if you're too emotionally charged. So how do you contain those emotions before they get bad? You first buy some time. You don't do it in the heat of the moment. You make sure you're in a calm position. You make sure you had an opportunity to process those emotions, not with the person present. And once you're able to get yourself out of that emotional state, then you're ready to have a discussion. And the way you go in to contain your emotions, you are present. And when you're present, you actually listen to the other person's perspective and you're willing to hear what they have to say. Just like you want to be heard, and just like you're feeling so frustrated, they too are feeling the same. Understand that both of you are coming from the same perspective and you want that meeting of minds that I just spoke about. So if you manage to contain your emotions and you listen to the other person's perspective, sometimes that in itself solves a problem. Suddenly your perspective changes and shifts and you realize, oh, I never considered their perspective. And that's okay. And that's part of the growth. And that's how we grow in a relationship. We start building trust within the relationship, that we can express our feelings safely, knowing that we're going to be understood, knowing that we're going to be validated. And once we've expressed and we've understood each other's perspective, then can we move on to saying, all right, let's have a look at how we can go and address this problem. So only once you've understood each other are you ready to move on to the next point, which is to commit to a resolution. And the way you do that is that you, first of all, you mustn't want to win the fight. It's got to be truthful, it's got to be honest, and you can't have any hidden agendas. If you've got any ulterior motives, that's not committing to a resolution. You mustn't go in and be deceitful in terms of what you want, or manipulative in terms of what you want. You must genuinely and sincerely and honestly want the relationship to work. Otherwise, you may as well continue being in a toxic situation, wanting to win at all costs. How do you commit to resolution? You're going to go in and you're going to be absolutely truthful. You're going to be true and authentic to yourself, and you're going to focus on the issue at hand, not bring in the whole history of what's happened. Deal with one issue. You're going to commit to solving that particular issue. You're also going to make sure you're going to give the other person the opportunity to be understood. You're going to go in looking for a win-win. Now, what is that? That is the most mature position you can find yourself in, where you're not right and they're not right, but together you find a solution that works for both of you. So you're not coming from a position of wanting to dominate the conversation. You're coming from a position of wanting to express yourself. You're in the psychological position that I'm okay with who I am, and I respect who I am. And equally so, you're okay, and I respect you. So to commit to it is ultimately either you're going to change your perspective, or the other person's going to change their perspective or your behavior. And if you want to know more about that, you can watch my video here on how to make change effective. And that brings me to our last point, the dangers of not addressing conflict. One of the dangers is that it starts festering and festering and festering if you don't address it. And eventually what's going to happen, you're just going to explode. And then you can basically write off the relationship. You can't take back the words that you've said to somebody. So it's a caution for you. The reality is that energy has to go somewhere. So you need to express it. You need to express it in a skillful way. If you don't start expressing how you feel, what will happen is you're going to build up more and more resentment as every day passes. And all the love, all the tolerance you had for the relationship is going to be lost. Another factor, if you don't enter into a discussion with the person, you're going to start entering into a subtle power struggle with the individual. And the two of you are going to have this dynamic that goes on to try and see who's going to win. And this is a toxic relationship to be in, where you're continuously fighting for power in the relationship. If you're going to believe the other person is always wrong, you're not going to find an intimate, close relationship. You need to concede and accept that it takes two to tango. And in any relationship, you need to consider your impact on the relationship as well as the person's behavior and impact it has on you. That's why it's important for you to address and get issues on the table and discuss it in a way that is protected for both of you. A danger that I just want to point out to you is be careful. You need to assess yourself and reflect on yourself and ask yourself, do you continuously blame that person and keep on thinking that the other person is wrong? You need to realize that every single relationship is reflecting something that exists within you. So take it as an absolute gift that you're feeling the way that you're feeling, and ask yourself, how can I address it in a skillful manner that builds a resolution? And I've discussed all the 3 steps. So what is really important is that you go in being prepared. You need some time, some quiet time, to sit and think how you can address this in a way that is conducive to building a relationship and not breaking it down. But the biggest danger of not addressing how you're feeling is you're never ever going to build close, intimate relationships. And isn't that what we want after all? Is we want to build a relationship with somebody we feel absolutely connected to. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. And I want to know what you're thinking. Please comment. I want to hear what you thought of the video, what resonated with you, what parts stood out, and what you still want to know more about. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You'll be notified every time I release a new video. Thanks for watching.